أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. We are chapter 21, verse 76 to the end of this chapter, inshallah, tonight. Okay? Go ahead, please, Mom.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. As for Noah, he called upon us before this. We then responded to him and saved him and his family from the great disaster. And we gave him victory over the people who rejected our signs. Indeed, they were evil people. Consequently, we drowned them all. And David and Solomon, when they were both issuing judgment regarding some people's herd that was grazing a pasture during the night, and we were witnessing their ruling. We then gave the understanding of the matter to Solomon. However, we had endowed both with wisdom and knowledge, and we subdued the mountains with David as they were glorifying, as well as the birds, and we were the doer of it all. And we taught him to manufacture armor that protects you during war. Are you then appreciative? And for Solomon, the speeding wind was directed according to his command to a land that we had blessed, and we have full knowledge of all things. And from the demons were those who performed deep-sea diving for him, as well as other tasks. And we were their guardians. And Job, when he called on his Lord, indeed an affliction has befallen me, and you are the most merciful of all the merciful ones. We therefore responded to him. We then removed the cause of his affliction and restored his family to him, and even twice as much as a mercy from us, and a reminder for the worshippers. And Ishmael, Enoch, and Ezekiel, they were all forbearing, and we showered them with our mercy. They were all righteous. And Danun, as he left outraged and thought that we had no control over him, he then called from the midst of the darkness, there is no God except you, be you glorified. I have indeed been a transgressor. We therefore responded to him and saved him from sorrow, and we thus saved the faithful. And Zechariah, when he called upon his Lord, my Lord, do not leave me alone, and you are the best inheritor. We then responded to him and granted him John, and fixed his wife for him. They indeed raced towards righteous work, and called upon us eagerly and with reverence, and they were humble before us. And the one who kept her chastity, we blew into her from our spirit, and rendered her and her son a sign for all. This is indeed your community, a single community, and I am indeed your Lord. Therefore you shall worship me. And they went on to cause divisions among themselves. They will ultimately return to us. As for the one who leads a righteous life and is faithful, then his efforts will not be unappreciated, and indeed we record it for him. And it is prohibited for those communities that we annihilated to ever return, until such time when Gog and Magog are to reappear, and they will be coming from every elevated position rushing. And the true promise has come upon them. Then the eyes of the unfaithful remain terrified, saying, woe to us, we were indeed ignorant of this, we were indeed transgressors. Indeed, you and what you worship besides God will be fuel for Gehenna, and you will surely enter therein. If there were gods, they would have never entered therein. All will abide therein forever. They will constantly sigh therein, but they will hear no response. Indeed, those whom goodness was decreed for them from us, they will be far away from it. They will never hear its furor, and they will have everything they desire, and they abide therein eternally. They will never worry about the great dread and they meet the angels who tell them, "This is your day that was promised to you, the day we fold the sky like the folding of letters, just like the first creation. We repeat it. This is our promise. Indeed, we will surely do it all." And indeed, we wrote in the Psalms, as well as subsequent reminders, that the earth shall be inherited by my righteous servants. Indeed, in this there is a message for the people who are worshippers, and we only sent you as a mercy to the whole world. Say, I am indeed inspired, that your God is one God. Therefore, are you going to offer peace? Therefore, if they turn away, say, I have informed you about the equilibrium, and I do not know if what is promised is near or far. Indeed, he knows your public utterance and knows what you conceal. I do not know. This may be a test for you and an enjoyment for a while. He said, my Lord judges according to the truth, and our Lord is the all-gracious, the source of all help, far above what you describe.
Okay, thank you, Mashallah. Very good. Okay, very good. And the floor is open for comments, observations, or questions. Anything? Any questions? Any observations? Any discussions?
Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Fazely.
Yes, go ahead, please.
This is Anwar. Yes. What I could recap from this reading is, it seems to be that God endlessly, without fail, tried all his best to make us realize that he's the only God and to protect us from Satan. And human beings as they are as such, historically, like it is stated in the Quran, in chapter 7 and so many other chapters, that people keep on defying and they just stand up against God, and they still insist in doing what their parents told them to do. And this is a repetition all the time, and God, out of his mercy, keeps on reminding us so often that, it's like talking to kids. I don't know. It's like wow. It's difficult to fathom the mercy and the loving God that we have. Yeah, that's what I get from the whole thing, because it's always disaster upon those who transgress, and it's always bliss and good news for those who tread the right path.
Yeah, as I was saying today, that if we do not go along with God's commandments and his will, then we are in a state of war with God, and that's a no-win situation. This disaster is going to be the lot of those people who are going to be in the state of war with God. And on the other hand, if we offer peace to God and be happy with the way that he's running the universe, then we have no problem. But somehow this seems to be a very tall order for a lot of people, that they do not want to do that, and they want to use their own judgment to solve their problems and whatever they have. But that's not the way to do it. The way to do it is to follow God's instructions to the letter, and then after that, then we are in a position to be at peace. Otherwise, we are not going to be at peace.
Absolutely, sir. And it seems to be that this behavior of human being is very repetitive as far as messengers and prophets are concerned as well. I mean, they are so opposed to the concept of God alone that they will go to any extent to insult the messengers. I mean, it's just incredible. The same messages all over again.
Yes.
And we are reminded thoroughly, sir. May God help us all to follow His path.
Exactly. Yes,
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anything else? Any other comments or observations or discussions? See, in the case of Noah here, that's again there's a lot of information that comes out of this, and God is saying, as for Noah, he called upon us before this, and we then responded to him and saved him and his family from the great disaster. And I said this a long time ago that the guy that Noah thought was his son was really not his son, but the poor man didn't know that. And so remember now, in the case of Lot, God keeps saying we saved Lot and his family except for his wife. But here God doesn't say that except for his son. Okay, because that wasn't his son. That wasn't part of his family. But he didn't know. Okay, so here it's very clear what the message of the Quran is and how much information we are going to get from this. When you read the Quran and put it together, there's a lot of information there that we usually do not pay attention to. But when you look at it in a deeper way, then you see that the information is so valuable that it gives you so much knowledge about the situation at hand. Okay, so here exactly that thing, because obviously that would be redundant because obviously he was not part of his family. His son was not part of his family. So anyway, and then he says we gave him victory over the people who rejected our signs. Okay, so again God goes to this details of people who reject God's signs. Indeed, they were evil people, consequently we drowned them all. So rejection of God's signs is a huge mistake. It's a grave mistake that a lot of people make. And so that rejection of those signs is going to cause their dooms, actually. So that is mentioned so many times in the Quran. Okay. And David and Solomon, when they were both issuing judgment regarding some people's herd that was grazing in a pasture during the night, and we were witnessing the ruling, and then God chooses Solomon as the person who's going to receive the understanding. So we then gave the understanding of the matter to Solomon. But however, God says, however, we had endowed both with wisdom and knowledge, and we subdued the mountains with David, as they were glorifying as well as the birds, and we were the doer of it all. Okay. Then God says, you see, again, the knowledge comes from God. Okay? The knowledge, a lot of people don't understand this. This is a huge stumbling block for a lot of people. They think that you get knowledge by going to a very good school. Okay? That's how they think. So he says, we taught him to manufacture armors that protect you during war. Are you then appreciative? Okay? So God was the one who taught him how to make armor. Okay? So everything that you see, all the blessing comes from God. It's not coming from this source or that source. And that's why we have to be grateful to God, because, as I said, there is a lot of information, a lot of knowledge which is embedded in God's message. And if we pay attention and ask God to open up our eyes and our mind and increase our knowledge, He will do it. Okay? Any comments or observations or discussions?
Salam, Dr.
Yes, Walaikum Assalam. Go ahead, Shakira.
I was looking at this, the verse on Job.
Yes.
And in it, he's asking God to help him, and God does help him. And in Surah 38, verse 41, 38-41, it talks about the same thing, but at the end of it, he says, and take this herb in your hand and apply it and do not go wrong. We indeed found him steadfast.
Yes. And
he was surely a good servant. He was penitent. So we don't really know how long his suffering was.
Yes.
Because God is telling us, we indeed found him steadfast. And he was penitent. That means he could have done it for years before all this happened.
Yes.
When we look at Jonah, we understand that he was, right away God corrected the things and forgave him, because, he was in the thing, the fish, put him out, threw him out on the ground. He got the tree, he did it, and then he was okay, and then he went and did everything. But here, it looks to me like the most important thing that God talks about, even in Surah 2, how the contact prayers and patience, and being patient and steadfast. That's the two things that he talks about repeatedly for us to grow our souls and come closer to him.
Yes.
So the reason I was thinking is that if I go through some problem, I can't rush it or anything like that, because as it says in Surah 16 verse 1, that all these commandments have already been issued. Everything has already been done. Yes. So you have to understand that and God doesn't think or this or that or anything. Everything has already decided. And it is decided based on numbers, my numbers or somebody else's numbers.
Yes.
And it is there for a reason. I remember you telling us a few times that when you see somebody afflicted with something, don't think of it of what wrong they committed. Definitely they committed something wrong, all of us are doing it. But the thing to understand is that they have been given another chance to come closer to God, yes, change and get better. So if you look at that adversity in that way, like Job did, Job has really done his wordings are so specific that if you just repeat those things, adversity has befallen me. Of all the merciful ones, you are the all merciful. Satan has afflicted me with hardship and suffering. It's very simple. Clearly, he's telling straightforward. He's penitent. Forgive me, pardon me. And he's patient.
Yes.
So I think that this lesson is so, it's just very important for everyone, because everyone is going to go through this. Without being steadfast, without doing our contact prayers, they're not going to be able to, because each supports the other.
Yes.
Thank you for your for the Jummah. It was
Thank you.
Very enlightening. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
And another verse that can I say something else?
Yes.
I don't have, I'm open in Surah 48, but there's another verse in Surah 21 which I have to change over because I have 38 in front of me. So in that verse, God said, if they were really God, they would never go to hell. That's a very profound.
Which verse is
it? I'm going to look it up. I went to Surah 38. If there were other gods, if they were really gods, then they would never have they would not have entered hell.
Yes. Yes.
So I will tell you that verse. I don't want to waste your time.
Okay, all right. Okay, anything else?
Assalamu alaikum, bro.
Walaikum assalam, Mahmoud. Yes.
On 87 and then noon.
Yes.
You left it as it is.
Yes.
But we, as you shared with us not long ago, the one mentioned in noon.
That's right. The one mentioned in 68, noon.
Yeah, the one mentioned in noon, and actually giving the exact spelling of how you put noon. And also, the one mentioned in noon, do you think it would be okay if you put parentheses there and say mention in noon?
I'm not going to put a parenthesis.
Give it that. Yeah. Mention in noon.
Yeah, it's self-explanatory. He says, but noon. The one in noon. Okay? That's what God is saying. The one
but
the interesting thing is that that was the first prophet that was actually mentioned in the order of revelation. Chapter 68 is the second revelation of the Quran.
Yeah.
So when God is talking about the companion of the fish or the companion of the whale, he's talking about this guy. This is Nun, okay? And so here it mentions that, this is the guy that was mentioned in that chapter. Yeah.
And then, MashaAllah. All the previous understanding that we had was the one has the N in his name.
There are a lot of people who have Nun in their name.
Yeah, Noah has it. Harun has it.
Yeah, Noah.
Jonah has it.
Yeah, but that's not it. It's God is trying to tell us that this is how you spell noon. Okay, so when Porter Shark put the noon, everybody jumped on him. Okay, but that's the spelling of that noon. Okay. And
Beautiful.
Yeah.
On 105,
yeah.
It says we mention in Psalms the righteous servants will inherit the earth.
That's right, yeah.
And I was looking at the book of Psalms, verse 11, 37:11. 37:11 says, the meek shall inherit the earth.
That's right.
So there it is.
It's also in the book of Revelation. New Testament. Okay. I'm not sure which. I think it's chapter 14, but I'm not sure.
But here in 105 it says Zabur, right? Zabur is the Psalms?
Yeah, Zabur is the Psalms, yes. But I'm just saying, it says, and subsequent reminders, as well as subsequent reminders, that the earth shall be inhabited by. Yeah.
Sure. Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other comments or observations? Okay. What I wanted to talk about is that this recreation. This is chapter 21, verse 104. It says that the day we fold the sky like the folding of letters, just like the first creation, we repeat it. This is our promise. Indeed, we will surely do it all. So this is a sort of a recreation, or a so-called Big Bang, and then Big Crunch, and then another Big Bang after that, if you will. So, and this sort of like an oscillatory type of universe that happens, and but this shows God's greatness. Okay, this is another one. It says that we fold the sky like the folding of letters. Just like the first creation, we repeat it. This is our promise indeed. We will surely do it all. So that's something to really behold. Okay, anything else? Any other comments or observations? Or
Shalom, Dr. Fazely.
Walaikum salam. Did you find it?
Yeah, I did, but first I want to ask you this question. It says, no, don't move that. You that same thing we fold in. Put that back.
Yes, I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead. I'll go back.
Yeah.
Yes.
That one, so basically right now the paradise is there, because when the believers die, they go straight back to paradise, to the garden, right? So, but this one is this talking only about the first universe?
No, he's talking about the first universe, yes. It says,
okay, then is it correct to understand that this first universe is going to be totally different when God repeats it?
I don't know.
Right?
I really don't
know.
I have no idea. I don't know. Okay?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we don't know. So, okay,
yeah, this basically, I mean, as I see it, to me, it's really, it's not going to affect me in any way, because my test is over by then, hopefully. And I'll be
of course, inshallah.
And so that's as far as I'm concerned. And see, God creates things, and He says that He creates what you do not know. So God's creation is so vast, and it's so great and so awesome that we really don't know, and He doesn't have to tell us, obviously. Okay, so.
Yeah, it's a pointless question. I did not do the right thing.
So it goes back
to
this
verse. Yeah, this in 2198. 2198. Again.
What about 2198?
Oh yeah, 2199.
Yes.
It's talking about the previous verse is talking about what you worship is going to be fuel for hell, because telling if they were gods, they would have never entered therein.
all will abide. Yes, of course. I mean, you had things like, what's his name was a god. He claimed to be God, and some people followed him. Pharaoh. Okay.
Yeah.
Pharaoh.
Yes.
People followed him. Okay. All those people who were perished with Pharaoh and his troops, and so those people were following. Yeah.
But even here, they have these people like Sai Baba. They actually say they are gods, and then
yeah, there are a lot of them.
Yeah, so many of them, all kinds of stuff. But this is a good thing to think about, that they're just humans and they are saying all these lies, and then on the day of resurrection they will all end up there. So many different kinds of gods, basically.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Lee, this is Niash. I had a comment.
Yes, go ahead, please.
I think it's same surah, 21, verse 92.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that after all the accounts of all the prophets were mentioned, the last one being Jesus in 91, God says, "This is indeed your community, a single community. I am indeed your Lord, therefore you shall worship me." And so it's signifying that all the messengers belong to the same community and they have the same message. And the same verse, same words as in 2192, except I think the last word, instead of worship me, I think it says be reverent in Surah 23, verse 52. Actually, 52 and 53, 51 and 52 of Surah 23. Surah 23:51 reads, "O you messengers," in plural. "O you messengers, eat from the clean things and lead a righteous life. Indeed, I know all that you do, and surely this is your community, a single community. And I am your Lord, therefore you shall be reverent." However, they divided themselves into sects. Each party happened with what they had. This again is emphasizing that all the messengers belong to a single community, and all the divisions that we see amongst those who claim to be the followers into different sects, that has nothing to do with the message or with the religion or the community that the messengers belong to. That was my understanding.
Yeah. Yes, also it gives you also more information about what the word ummah actually is, ummatan wahidatan. So it says single community, and a lot of people they think that Muslims are ummah. Muslims are not ummah. The humans are ummah. Okay, the humans is, if you go to chapter 6, I think. Yes, it's 6:19, and then 6:38, I believe. It says that all of the living creatures, like horses and those things, they are ummatan like you. They are communities just like you. So the people have the same. They come from the same source, from one male and one female, and so they form this ummah. And so anybody who is telling you that ummah is like the Muslim ummah or the Islamic ummah or something like that, those people are lying to you. These people are want to create division amongst people. Okay, and some of them knowingly doing this, and some of them are just ignorant, and they are so arrogant that despite their ignorance, they still propagate errors, and they mislead a lot of people. So the Quranic information that comes from this, it says, إن هذه أمتكم أمة واحدة. So وأنا ربكم فاعبدون. So anyway, and that's what God is telling us, that the human community is a single community, and so there is no ummah of this or ummah of that. Okay, as I said, these are the people who want to draw a wedge amongst people, divide people, and make animosity amongst people. That's why they say it, which is un-Quranic. This is not a Quranic statement when they say that. As a matter of fact, the verse after that, it just says exactly what I said. And they went to cause divisions among themselves. They will ultimately return to us. So God knew that this was going to happen.
Well, so time pressure. Interesting.
Also on the noon, the 21 verse 87. I think I also found it interesting that in Surah 68, where Jonah is mentioned, as you said, the first messenger mentioned in the Revelation order, the verse, if I remember correctly, it says, "Do not be like the one." Let me go to that verse. Sorry, 68, I think. 48. Therefore, be patient for your Lord's judgment, and do not be like the companion of the fish, as he called out in agony. So that verse is telling us that about Jonah calling out in agony, and 2187 is telling us the exact words that he called out. There is no God except you, be you glorified, have indeed been a transgressor. So one more parallel between those two verses.
Yes.
Assalamu alaikum. And the end of 88. And says, with us, save the faithful.
Does anybody have any problem hearing me?
Your audio was low.
No, sir. No, sir.
Is it okay?
It's good now, but when Mantra was reading, it was low.
I see. Okay. All right.
And in the end of 88, with us, save al-mu'minun, or the faithful. You know, I was looking and I didn't see anywhere that, it says we save we save the Muslims, or you were mentioning that we call themselves Muslims. The faithful. The faithful can be from any community.
Of course. Yeah.
Not a specific group. And if you anywhere in the Quran, when I look, I did not see anywhere we save the Muslims.
Yep.
That is specifically it says, we thus save the faithful. And if you look at chapter 49, I believe verse 14, do not say we are faithful, until with interest in your heart. Say we are Muslim. So it is a higher level.
Exactly, yes. Much higher
This
level.
is a higher level. And we have to work for that level, to get to that. Being a Muslim is not enough.
Yeah.
That's when you will get, sorry, go ahead.
It's not the thing, you see, it's not a badge of honor. It's a requirement.
Yeah.
If you are not offering peace to God, you are in the state of war with God. That's the problem, and a lot of people don't understand that. So the idea of being at peace with the universe that God has created, and being at peace with God, who is running this universe, is making you get closer to God, and also it's a requirement. It's not something that's because without that, one cannot be happy.
Yeah. And that's when you earn God's, safe and God's peace and God's protection.
Yes.
It's when you reach that stage. And, when you look at those who are calling themselves Muslims, and the last place on earth that you want to go, but they are saying they are Muslims. So, God is saying here, I protect the faithful.
Yep. You don't. Yeah.
So is there a contradiction? No.
It is. Yep.
Assalamu
Alaikum assalam.
Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Fazely. This is Anwar again.
Yes, go ahead, please.
So is that, with your permission, I would like to read out two verses in chapter 7, verse 2 and 3, and following what Brother Mahmoud was saying just now. And it goes like this: a book that is revealed to you, therefore do not have any difficulty in your heart because of it, for it is that you may warn with and a reminder for the faithful. All of you shall follow what is revealed to you from your Lord, and do not take anyone as an ally beside him. Only a few will take heed.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I wanted to say, so thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
What happened? Ali went to sleep?
Yes. Any other comments or question or observations?
Salam alaikum, Ali.
Alaikum assalam. Yes, Manisha. Go ahead, please.
One more time, I have a question in regards to the verse 21:104 that you explained it. Is it possible to know why the word kataba has been changed, the book has been changed to letters? Because folding the book makes easier sense, but folding letters, which letters do we fold? Which one is our preference? What letter do we fold?
Letter doesn't mean a letter in alphabet. It's just a letter. Letters.
Okay.
The thing is not kitab, it's kutub.
Okay. I don't know Arabic, but kutub is it not a plural version of books? No?
Which means that fine folding of letters. So, I mean, you can say books also, but I don't know. I mean, but how many books? Because the sama is actually singular there. We fold the sky like the folding of letters. You fold letters. You don't fold books. So that's why I had it like that. But anyway.
Okay, if we have a book, which I would probably think it's a flat book, and we close it, you bring one end to the other end, you fold the book. But then when we refer to letters, I don't know if the dimension changes. Are you referring also to three-dimensional letters? And kind of considering that the multiverse is not a flat multiverse, it has dimension in it. I'm kind of confused. That's why I'm asking this. Sorry about that.
I know. I mean, you are eager to know the idea, but it's not that simple to visualize it. Okay, so God is telling us. I mean, as is right now, there are no edges to the universe. So letters or books, they have edges. So this is obviously after the universe that we are living in, this lowest sky or lowest vacuum is torn apart somehow. So there are edges. So it looks like an open thing, and I don't know how many dimensions it has. But anyway, in every dimension that it has, then then it'll be folded back together again.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And so that's what God is referring to here.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, but anyway, Sijil al-Kutub. So
okay.
it's the books, not book. Okay, if you want to translate that way. But also the word kitab has been also used in the Quran as letter rather than just I think if I'm not mistaken, in chapter 27, let's see, chapter 27, verse 30. Yeah. You see, it says, she said, "O my people, indeed I have received an honorable letter." You see, قالت يا أيها الملأ إني ألقي إلي كتاب كريم. So obviously she didn't receive a book. Okay, so indeed I have received an honorable letter. It is indeed from Solomon, and it is in the name of God, the All-Gracious, the All-Merciful. So this is chapter 27 when Queen of Sheba is talking. Okay, so that's the word kitab here is actually and the what was contained in the letter is 31. It says, "Do not seek exaltation over me and come to me in peace." So that was the invitation that the letter which was from Solomon was conveying to the Queen of Sheba.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, anything else? Okay, very good. So we'll have our 50 minutes, and so we'll quit for tonight. And so let's do our usual 3 al-Fatiha.